Thank you. I'd like to thank the members of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission and especially Congressman McGovern who helped make this possible. It's an honor and a privilege to be here to tell our story. I feel compelled to begin with a startling fact that is difficult to comprehend. 15% of all the murders committed in Rio are committed by the police. My nephew, Joseph Martin, was one of the 15%. On May 25th, 2007, Joe was celebrating his 30th birthday in Rio. He engaged in a verbal altercation with an off-duty policeman. The policeman shot Joseph from 16 feet away. Our father, Joseph's grandfather, was a policeman in Worcester, Massachusetts for over 30 years. Although we appreciated the complexity of the relationship between police in the United States and those they are charged to protect, we certainly did not expect Joe to die at the hands of a policeman. We soon came to learn that what we thought was a private pain was in fact the result of a chronic and institutionalized problem with the Rio police, well documented, debated, and reported on by NGOs and the United Nations. The months and years ahead would be a series of unkept promises by the Brazilian government and either inept or corrupt police work. Ambassador Patriota promised support and a thorough investigation by the Public Secretariat. 4 times I wrote the ambassador for updates and was either put off or ignored. In my final 2 emails asking for the promised investigation update, I was reduced to pleading, please reply, and I was met with silence. Senator Kennedy's office called on several occasions and was also ignored. Finally, while watching TV coverage of the passing of Senator Kennedy and frightened at the prospect of losing an ally, I wrote the embassy with a draft press release that included a paragraph about their ignoring Senator Kennedy. Perhaps out of embarrassment or simply a coincidence, just a few days later, I was informed that a trial date was set. There are 2 police forces in Rio, a civil police that conducts investigations and the military police who are on the streets. The Civil Police Department was charged with investigating Joe's murder. The policeman who shot Joe was also a civil policeman. Coincidentally, Joseph was shot in front of a crowd of people, but the only witness the police found supported the policeman. It wasn't until the U.S. consulate sent staff to the streets did they find 2 credible eyewitnesses. 4 witnesses had gone to the police station the day after the murder, but they were never interviewed. A report filled out at the police station with their contact information was mysteriously removed from the files, so neither the prosecutor nor the defense attorney was even aware of their existence. This conspicuous omission was either an act of corruption or shocking incompetence. 2 of those 4 witnesses were found just days before the trial held last month. They each asked the judge if he could protect them if they testified. The judge explained that he could not guarantee their safety. On the stand, their testimony amounted to them explaining that in fact they didn't see anything. The defense strategy at the trial was one of anti-American jingoism. As Joe's mother, Frances, and I sat in the courtroom, we realized that the missing document about witnesses, the failure to investigate thoroughly, and the outcome, that the policeman who killed Joe was found innocent, was all a foregone conclusion. Our day in court was not unlike other trials of police in Rio. We are here today not because of what happened to Joe, but because it happens 1,000 times a year to other men, women, and even children in Rio. In April 2008, the commander of a precinct in Rio, Colonel Marcus Jardim, was quoted as saying that the police, quote, are the best social insecticide. This man would soon be promoted to top commander of the military police forces in the city of Rio. That same year, the Secretary for Public Security, Jose Mariano Beltram, commented that while police did their best to avoid casualties, one could not, quote, make an omelet without breaking some eggs. These repugnant statements exemplify the police relationship to the community. We are aware of the incredible crime that occurs daily in Rio, the extent of gang violence and the crippling drug trade. As the daughter of a policeman, I lived most of my life knowing that my father's job put him at risk. But Rio police are not doing crime prevention, nor are they solving crimes. A statistic on the number of arrests each year by the Rio police as compared to the number of people they kill annually is graphic in demonstrating the lethality of police tactics. The Rio police kill and arrest in a ratio of 1 to 23. In Sao Paulo, the ratio is 1 to 348. In the United States, it is 1 to 37,750. There is a training program popular throughout Latin America called the Giraldi method. This method trains police in diffusing volatile situations and has proven to reduce the use of lethal force. Sao Paulo Police Ombudsman Antonio Funari Filho said the Giraldi method, quote, is a doctrine that takes into account the original role of police officers, that is, their duty to protect citizens and preserve life, end quote. But Rio refuses to implement this training method. I can't help but believe that this sort of training would have prevented Joe's death. The crime in Rio has frightened citizens, visitors, and the police. The breathtakingly beautiful city, so disfigured by violence, has confused order and authority with state violence and police depravity. Either the police are acting on behalf of their government, or the alternative is that the government has no control over their police. Let me say again, 15% of all the murders committed in Rio are committed by the police. Because the record shows that the police clearly exhibit a culture of killing rather than concern for the protection of the people of Rio, it is clear that all who go to Rio are at risk. We hope that in the few years ahead, before the citizens of the world descend on Rio for the World Cup and the Olympics, that the Brazilian government will implement the necessary changes to ensure that all people in Rio, both visitors and residents, are safe. President Lula promised the Olympic Commission that he would put more police on the streets during the Olympics. However, if we follow this strategy to its logical and grotesque conclusion, the murder rate in Rio will increase during the Olympics because the number of murderers on the street will increase. A poorly trained policeman who lacks oversight is as dangerous in a favela or a slum as in a tourist destination such as Copacabana. The blatant disregard for life and a police culture of killing does not change depending on where a policeman stands. The situation is morally wrong. Rio can do better, and for the Olympics and the World Cup, we believe Rio must do better.